Hi, this is John again, and I just got in the door. It's, let me see here. It is, forgot to end my workout here. Okay, so it's 8:25 p.m. So I went out around 7 p.m., no, 7:30 p.m. for another 25-kilometer ride on my Envo D50 here. The one that's I showed you in my previous video. I was having problems with the temperature sensors, and the problems are still there. However, I've got some additional insight on this problem. I wanted to find out whether or not the temperature sensor was out of whack all the time at a 22°C lower temperature, or whether it might have only been out at the lower end, not at the higher end. So what I did was I phoned up my friend, the same friend that bought the exact same D50 at the exact same time I did. And fortunately, his functions properly for a change. And I had him do a 5-kilometer run and monitor the battery temperature. Okay, when he started his run, the motor temperature indicated whatever the ambient temperature was within his apartment, which was, I believe, 21°C. At the end of a 5-kilometer run, he registered 44°C on his motor. So what I did today during my 25-kilometer run was monitor the temperature right from the outset and take a reading at 5 kilometers to see what my temperature reading would be. So, of course, initially it started out at the same insane -3°C indicated on the Envo monitor, even though the ambient temperature in my basement was 19°C. So that's an offset of 22°C. So I took it on the run and I monitored it intently within the first 1.5 kilometers. And what I found was quite interesting. As I proceeded out there, I noticed the temperature dropped even further, if you can believe that, from -3 to about -9°C. Now, I can attribute that to the cold weather outside. And however, what was interesting is it was jumping around all over the place within that first 1.5 kilometers. It went from 0°C all the way back to -8, back to 0. So from my experience as being a graduate electronics technician, this to me indicates that the temperature sensor itself is probably one of two things, if not a combination of two things. It's probably defective to start with, I should say, because it's already indicating 22°C. And it's obviously not in contact with whatever surface it should be permanently affixed to. And as I go over bumps, it of course jumps off that surface and then registers a completely different temperature. Now, this is of course assuming, in terms of my assumption that the thermistor sensing device is defective, that is contingent upon the fact that, or upon the assumption that there's no calibration process like a hidden factory menu on the Envo display unit, which would allow them to calibrate to an appropriate temperature based upon a stable temperature in the factory. I know in some devices, I know in some high-end temperature monitors, there is that calibration menu available to people. So again, this is something we need to ask Envo to see if there is a calibration process or not. So anyhow, at the end of my 5-kilometer run, I took a look at the temperature, and it was registering 22 degrees Celsius. Now, if you factor in the fact that my temperature sensor is already indicating 22 degrees lower, that would mean that the appropriate temperature should be 44 degrees Celsius. And as a matter of fact, my friend who did that 5-kilometer run found that to be the case, 44 degrees Celsius. So, as I mentioned before, I'm assuming that this is probably a loose thermistor temperature sensing device inside the motor housing. And I did look at some other additional YouTube videos last night to see what the composition of other hub motors was like. And from what I saw of the videos, once the motor's taken apart, it does appear that that thermistor or temperature sensing device is somehow permanently affixed to a solid metal object within the motor, either by glue or by some other means, maybe a strap or something along those lines. So this is what I'm assuming the problem to be. Of course, Envo probably has their own engineers that they, can troubleshoot this and assume this, but from the looks of it, the way that this thing could be resolved quickly is by swapping out that rear hub motor. Whether or not Envo wants to send a hub motor to Repair and Run, the people who sold it to me, under warranty and have them swap it, that's obviously going to be up to Envo, but I'm hoping that they'll agree with this analysis. Anyway, that's it for now, and I will keep you updated. By the way, the founder and COO of Repair and Run did contact me by email with regards to this issue. So I'm very pleased with the action on the part of Repair and Run in helping me to resolve this. The ball is in the court of Envo at this point, and I'm hoping that they'll be equally cooperative at resolving this obvious defective temperature sensor issue. Anyway, bye for now.